All right, we're wrapping up here at the Saints Row the 3rd review event. As you can see, the place is getting slightly quieter now. People seem to have had their fill of destroying and killing their way around the entire city. We've got Nick here with us. Nick has been very kind to join us to talk about his experience with the game, because he's been stuck in here since 11 o'clock this morning. That's a good 8 hours, ending around Saints Row. Nick, so what's it like?
It's very full on, but it's lots and lots of fun. If I had to point to a corollary, I'd say it's kind of like that movie Crank, taken and spun out to game length. In the past, Saints Row was a Grand Theft Auto clone without shame. And ever since Grand Theft Auto got more gritty and realistic, all the cartoon violence has been put by the wayside, and THQ have obviously gone, well, we'll have all of that. Because this game is so completely over the top, it's down the other side. The bar beneath it is barely visible. I mean, in the first 3 or 4 hours, I was shooting helicopters out of the sky. I'm driving around in a car with a tiger that I have to keep calm. I'm throwing myself in front of traffic to defraud insurance. And at one point, I was rounding up hookers who were being gunned down by the police. It's absolutely mental.
So they haven't lost any of their verve in old age then?
No.
3 games in, it's still as mental as ever.
Yeah, but the thing is that they've ramped everything up to such a ridiculous degree that even something that looks really juvenile, you can't help smiling and laughing about it. It's essentially very irresponsible, but at the same time, everyone knows it's irresponsible, so that's kind of half the fun.
So you basically, give us a sort of general over here. You're dropped in the city, and it's pretty much clean up the city as you see fit, as well as doing various other things.
I wouldn't say it's clean up the city. I'd say it's more like take over the city. You were dropped in there, and the Saints have kind of disbanded, and a bunch of other gangs, who all look ridiculous, by the way, have taken over the city. You've got people called the Deckers, who are all look like emo kids with keyboards. You've got a gang of lucha libre wrestlers run by a man called Killbane. And you kind of have to build up a gang within the city, and the Saints have to take over. That's the game, essentially.
You say about driving around the city trying to keep a tiger calm, but there's also one you exampled earlier on where there's a rickshaw chase sequence with gimps.
Yes. You have to save one of your gang members from an S&M club, and he's been chained to a rickshaw as a gimp. And the only way out of there, you don't have the time to untie him, so you jump in the back of the rickshaw and kick him, and he runs away, and a bunch of other rickshaws, also drawn by gimps, charge after you, and you have a big gunfight on a sort of dual carriageway, which is amazing, because when you shoot the other rickshaws, they actually explode, so I'm not really sure what they're made out of, as they do.
As they do in all Hollywood films, with the great thing about
the great thing about Saints Row, though, is that you really do kind of, you're able to put your own stamp on it, because the character creation, you can spend hours in there playing and finding exactly the right look. It borders on the fetishistic. You can decide on tattoos, uniforms, sunglasses, age, race, creed, color. You can change your sex in the middle of the game, because there are plastic surgeons all over the show. I mean, I literally was sitting next to somebody today who spent an age creating a large man, and he was blue and wearing absolutely nothing. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm making Dr. Manhattan. You can create the Joker. You can base it on any cartoon character you like. It's amazing.
Now, it's sort of like talking about maybe slightly more negative aspects of the title. You're sort of talking about the gunplay on it. Now, there's a great variety of weapons there, but in terms of accuracy in the shots, not quite up there with other titles.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of ramshackle and rambunctious, but the great thing about it is that the combat system is very, very balanced. You're, especially on the level of easy and normal, you're not going to get killed very, very quickly just because you can't draw a bead on everybody. The other thing you can also do is grab people and use them as human shields, so that also cuts down on how accurate you have to be. Headshots are obviously a premium, but you also run into large brutes who are carrying Gatling guns and flamethrowers, and if you take them out, you can obviously take their weapons and then just completely obliterate anything in your environment.
Where's the policing all this? Because I mean, with the latest
hiding under the couch.
I was going to say with GTA, it's basically, you know, you don't pay money at a toll booth. You got the police coming after you. This, I mean, is the police in this at all? Anything?
Oh yeah, the police are there, and obviously as you cause more and more trouble, the police pitch up in more numbers and they're more heavily armed. But it really is just, you know, in terms of the police, I'd say that they're outmanned and outgunned just by you. You're a one-man army or a one-woman army, depending on which sex you decide. Essentially, the draw of Saints Row the 3rd is it's fun to cause trouble in a cartoon world. And that's it. The game never becomes mean-spirited because it is so cartoon-like.
So is there, I mean, with the original Saints Row and certainly the second one, it was very sort of oriented around the whole gang culture aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, is that drawn away from that now because, like you said, it's more like a global branding for the Saints?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, because everything's sort of color-coded now. All the Lucha Libre guys are in I tell you what, in terms of gang culture, it bears more of a resemblance to that Walter Hill film, The Warriors, than it does to actual hip-hop gang culture. You know, when you're being chased after by a bunch of Lucha Libre wrestlers or a bunch of guys who are carrying computers with them and are on rollerblades, it's kind of hard to take it very seriously.
All right, let's have a contrast here between the big and the small. Let's start with the big first. Set pieces. Are we seeing things in this game that are dwarfing other experiences we've had in the recent few months?
I don't know about dwarfing. There are certainly things in here that are well-constructed set pieces. I mean, there's a mission early on where you have to take back your penthouse, as you do, and it starts off with you leaping out of a helicopter, parachuting down to the penthouse roof, taking out all the guards, and then bringing your own gang up and having a gunfight. And the whole thing is set to Kanye West's Power, and it really does feel like it's part of an action film. I'd say that there are missions in this game that you won't see replicated anywhere else. I mean, for example, how many times have you been in a game where you've been driving around with a tiger in the passenger seat, which, by the way, is part of a series of missions given to you by a wrestler to teach you courage, which also involved throwing yourself in front of traffic. But you're driving around with this tiger in the back, and every single time you hit a pedestrian or if you go too fast, the tiger freaks out and starts to claw you. And you can only calm it down by power sliding. When was the last time you did that?
Only in my wildest dreams,
exactly.
Really, yes. All right, well, talking about sort of like the last couple of Saints Rows have been absolutely chock-blocked full of like little side missions and stuff like that. Is that the same with the third?
Oh yeah, it is. You've got sniper missions, you've got gang areas that are controlled and you have to take out the gang that holds those areas. You've got races, you've got people who'll stop you on the side of the road who want an autograph or they want a picture with you. There is a load of content there outside of the story missions. You can spend ages traveling around the city just having fun. In a way, it's almost weird that when you get back to the story missions, you're kind of like, do I really want to do this right now, or do I just want to spend time messing around?
It almost seems slightly boring compared to all the wildness going on outside.
I don't know. I kind of got addicted to just running along the pavement, pulling both triggers and doing wrestling moves on people. Because that's what you do. It's like if you're running along the pavement and you pull both triggers, you will clothesline someone or leap onto their shoulders and bring them to the ground, and you think that you can spend ages doing that. And of course, when you do that, the cops pitch up, so then there's more targets to do, and you know you can literally lose yourself in anarchy in this game.
And you said this sort of, but there's a point to this, sort of a point to this, where basically it's a sort of currency in the respect. How does this work?
Okay, well, basically around the town you've got businesses. There's everything from gun stores to clothing shops to tattoo parlors and safe houses, and you can buy them all. And then you have an income, because as they make money, it all filters into your bank account, which allows you to buy more stuff. Also, any business you own, you get a discount on. And essentially what you're doing is block by block taking over the city and driving out the other gangs. As far as everything has a point to it, I'd say the funny thing, well no, the thing about Saints Row is there is a point. It's fun. And that's the thing about Saints Row the Third. It never forgets to be fun. And that is almost like a disappearing quality of games these days, really, isn't it? When was the last time you were recommended a game by someone just saying, play it because you will have a blinding time?
That's it. Well, I was sort of like the last question I was going to ask you. In terms of sort of recommending it, coming out November 18th, I mean, it's jammed in there between the likes of Uncharted and Skyrim and Zelda and stuff like that. Has it got a chance really to sort of sell well? Should I actually ask this another way? Should people check this out?
They should definitely check it out. As far as whether or not it'll sell well, I don't know. It depends how much money people have left over for the Christmas rush. But I'll tell you something. If you don't check out Saints Row the Third, you will be really missing out on one of the most quality titles of the year.
I think that's pretty much it. I think that's a pretty much good, accurate description of what Nick's experienced today. So yeah, there you go.
I want to broadcast your subconscious into the Decker usernet. You ready to fuck things up in virtual reality?
Let's do it.